Revealed, 2 spine-chilling true tales of sinister hauntings and cursed encounters that terrify. Jessica could barely breathe as she stood in the doorway of her new home, its weathered facade giving off a creepy vibe like it was whispering secrets of the past. The old house creaked in the wind, but it wasn't the wind that sent shivers down her spine. It was the haunting stories that echoed around her, whispers of the family who vanished without a trace, leaving this home suffocating in sinister air for years. She finally had a chance at a fresh start with Mia and Ethan. Could it really be haunted? Jessica forced a laugh, trying to shake off the dread creeping in. Yet, from her first night, the feeling of being watched clung to her. The soft cries that floated through the halls sent a chill down her back as they clawed at her fragmented sanity. Shadows flitted around her, and just when she thought it was nothing but her imagination, Ethan woke up screaming, terrified of a woman at the foot of his bed. "Mom, she's right there," he wailed, eyes wide and filled with fright. Jessica's heart raced. Stress? Tiredness? Or was Ethan's vibrant imagination picking up on something more? The neighbors were warm and friendly, but their smiles never reached their eyes. Whenever she brought up the previous family, silence fell, thick enough to suffocate her. They looked at her like she was crazy. "Just settle in, ma'am," the local police said with dismissive shrugs when she expressed her fears. Settling in felt like a trap. Could she really ignore what was happening in her own home? Days passed, but the unease was relentless, especially when Mia began to doodle unsettling sketches of dark figures lingering around the house. "It's my friend, Mommy," she said, blissfully unaware of the shudders that raced down Jessica's spine. "What friend?" she asked, but Mia's innocent smile told her she did not want an answer. While hauling boxes in the cramped attic, Jessica stumbled upon a tattered journal. The words it contained made her stomach twist, a record of despair, dark arguments echoing off the pages, and then nothing. Just a void. Jessica's breath hitched while reading, each entry driving home the sense of doom that hung over her new home. These shadows aren't just tricks of the light, she thought, fear tightening in her chest. The neighbor, a friendly woman with seemingly endless kindness, began appearing right when Jessica felt most alone. There was something unsettling in her sympathetic gaze. She was too close, too involved in the details of Jessica's life. Was she helping or watching? When a fierce storm ripped through town, lightning split the sky, illuminating the dark corners of their home. Ethan's scream pierced through the thunder. "Mom! The lady from next door is in my room." Panic flooded Jessica's heart as she lunged for his room. But when she flung the door open, there was nothing, just the quiet, swirling darkness. Had it all been a dream, or was something sinister lurking not just in her home but from the woman next door? As she stood there, breathless and frozen, the electricity flickered ominously, and then went out. The air thickened, and a chilling voice whispered from nowhere, icy against her skin, "You should have stayed away. Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the darkness swallowed her whole, she felt a sinking sense of dread, realizing that she was no longer in control. The flickering of an unseen presence was only the beginning. Something was waiting, something connected to the whispers and the shadows. It felt imminent. Pressing in like the walls of the house itself were closing around her. Would she discover the truth in time to protect her children, or would the sinister past of this house claim another family? The air was heavy with stillness, and Jessica's heart raced as she strained to hear anything beyond the pounding of her pulse in her ears. She touched the walls, as if they might offer some solace or revelation. Nothing but cold plaster met her fingers. Having lost the comfort of the light, she edged down the hallway, each creak of the floorboards echoing like a warning in the silence. Ethan? Mia?" Her voice quivered, swallowed by the darkness. The house responded with nothing but the whisper of the wind. She stumbled into the living room, her breath hitching as she reached for her phone, praying for its weak beam to pierce the blackness. The screen flickered to life, casting an eerie light over the chilling room. Shadows danced wildly, and for a moment, she could almost swear she saw faces emerging from the dark corners, their mouths moving in silent screams. "Stay close to me," she whispered under her breath, willing the unease to dissipate. But when she turned, the hallway was empty. Panic clawed at her throat. She turned back, and for a fleeting moment, an outline flitted past the window, too quick to define. The comforting facade of their home felt like a fading memory, replaced by a sinister hold intent on embracing her. Suddenly, a loud crash came from the kitchen, breaking the oppressive silence. Jessica jumped, her breath hitching in her chest. The sound had jolted her from her paralysis. "Mia! Ethan!" She bolted toward the kitchen, dread coursing through her veins. What if that wasn't just an accident, the house protecting its secrets? As she entered the kitchen, she saw one of the cabinets was ajar, its contents strewn across the floor like a grisly offering. Pans and dishes lay shattered, and in the center of the chaos, Mia stood frozen, eyes wide in awe, one drawing clutched tightly in her small hand. "Mia! What are you doing?" Jessica was torn between relief and terror. But Mia didn't respond. Instead, she pointed, mouth agape. Jessica followed her gaze to the darkened corner of the room. The moment felt suspended in time. There, almost imperceptible at first, was a figure draped in shadows, almost melding into the blackness. "Mommy," she said. "You're not welcome," Mia finally whispered, her childish voice breaking the tense silence. The blood drained from Jessica's face. "Who, sweetheart?" Panic clenched Jessica's heart. This couldn't be happening. Not now. The figure shifted slightly, and Jessica squinted, trying to decipher if it was a trick of the light, but those haunting eyes settled on her, piercing through the gloom like daggers. They seemed devoid of warmth, a cruel, flickering darkness that wrapped around her heart like a vice. Suddenly, the kitchen lights flickered back on, flooding the room with harsh brightness. But the figure had vanished. The room seemed to breathe again, but the air was thick with an unsettling tension. "I'm scared, Mommy," Mia said, her voice trembling, drawing nearer to Jessica. The sudden sound of Ethan's footsteps rushed down the hall. "What's happening?" he called, fear thick in his tone. "Just stay close," Jessica shouted back, mind racing. There was no time to waste. The sense of something lurking was irrefutable now. She needed to uncover the truth about the house, no matter what it took. "Mom, I don't feel good," Ethan murmured, pressing his forehead against her skin. "It's like something's in my head." Before she could respond, a loud bang erupted upstairs. The sound reverberated through the halls, followed by a disembodied whisper drifting down the stairs. "But you can't escape." Jessica felt a cold grip on her heart. She only wanted to protect her children, but something far more terrifying loomed, and it was getting closer. Who or what was that woman in the shadows? And why did she want her family? As Jessica took a deep breath, steeling herself, she knew that the real nightmare was about to begin. As the walls seemed to pulse with energy, she understood one truth: the house wanted them to know its secrets, but at what cost? Ethan's head lolled against her, and Jessica could feel the heat radiating from his skin. "Mommy, it hurts," he murmured, his voice soft, like a whisper blown by the wind. She scanned the room, shadows again creeping along the edges, twisting into strange shapes. The chaos of broken dishes lay beneath their feet, a surreal landscape of shattered glass and steel. Something felt very wrong, an imbalance that churned deep in her stomach. "Stay close," she urged again, her heart pounding. The house felt alive, throbbing with some malevolent force. The bang from upstairs echoed again, but this time a haunting laughter followed, high and quivering, almost childlike. Chills raced up her spine as it slithered through the air. Suddenly, a loud crash erupted from the living room, louder than anything they had heard so far. Without thinking, Jessica grabbed Mia's wrist and darted toward the hallway, pulling Ethan with her. "We have to see," she urged. As they crossed the threshold, the air thickened, pressing down on them like a weight. The living room was an eclipse of chaos. The furniture had been overturned, pillows ripped open, feathers floating like ghostly apparitions. The television flickered ominously, showing static that seemed to pulse in rhythm with her rising fear. "Who did this?" Ethan croaked out, rubbing his eyes, still vulnerable and dazed. Jessica swallowed hard, unable to respond. Something stirred in the corner movement just outside the periphery of her sight. She turned sharply, heart racing as the dense shadows enveloped her. The creeping dread felt like icy tendrils wrapping around her throat. A door slammed shut upstairs, and the whisper returned, clearer this time, a melodic sing-song that danced between the walls. Stay forever without warning, the lights flickered again, plunging the room into darkness. Panic gripped her, she fumbled for her phone but dropped it. The screen shattered on the ground, an omen of despair. "Mia!" She shouted into the void, the echo of her voice swallowed by the shadows. "Where is she?" Ethan cried out, the desperation creeping into his voice. "Mom! I can't see her. Stay close to me." Jessica barked, the raw urgency in her tone cutting through the fear. She felt the brush of cold air on her skin, cold as ice, stark against the warmth of Ethan's body next to her. Suddenly, she heard a giggle. It was soft and innocent, but it sliced through the tension, wrapping around her insides with dread. Mia's drawing fell from her hand and fluttered away like a lost bird, caught in the wind. Jessica lunged for it, catching it before it touched the ground. The image was dark shadows of figures circling unnaturally, their faces twisted in horror. "Mia, where are you?" she called, voice trembling. The giggling morphed into soft weeping. Jessica's heart sank, a cruel twist of fear tightening in her chest. She felt something shift behind her, an unseen weight. Suddenly, the lights flared back on. But instead of clarity, Jessica stood frozen in horror. The room was empty, furniture as it should be, but there on the wall, the drawings had appeared again, done in smudged black charcoal, depicting her family but with hollow eyes and grotesque mouths twisted in silent screams. "Mia? Ethan?" Jessica's voice was a frantic whisper now, hollow in the unyielding air. Panic surged as she felt the darkness close in around her. "Mom!" Ethan screamed, pointing upwards. Jessica followed his gaze just in time to see a pale hand reaching down from the ceiling, fingers long and gnarled, as if inviting her into an abyss she couldn't even begin to fathom. She felt a tug at her soul, a call deeper than fear, something powerful. Her mind screamed to run, but the call shushed her a sweet, menacing lullaby, promising safety. But at what cost? The air thickened again, choking her until she gasped for breath. She felt a weight on her chest, and the shadows danced closer. Would they survive this night? Or would the house consume them whole? The stage was set for a showdown, but Jessica had no idea with what or who she was about to face. Jessica's breath hitched, her heart thundering in her chest as the pale hand lingered in the air. The fingers didn't just beckon, they twisted with a coaxing grace that terrified her, as if the very air was alive with malice. "Mom! Run!" Ethan screamed again, dragging her back from the edge of that unfathomable reach. The echo of his voice jolted her. Instinct prevailed. Jessica turned on her heels, grabbing Ethan firmly by the arm. They stumbled backward, colliding with the overturned sofa. She pushed him ahead of her, shoving her body through the chaos, adrenaline spurring her forward. "Mia!" she yelled, desperation clawing at her throat. Where was her daughter? The laughter had faded, replaced with silence, thick and oppressive. They sprinted down the hallway, her mind racing with thoughts of Mia. The static from the living room transformed into a low growl, vibrating through the walls, chilling her to the bone. Each step felt heavier, the ground alive with anticipation, like a predator waiting to pounce. Around the corner, the front door loomed. It felt like freedom, like escape. But as she reached for the handle, the door rattled violently, as if something on the other side was resisting. A low, rumbling voice thrummed from within the wood, twisted and guttural. "You can't leave, you must stay." Jessica recoiled. The door shuddered, and the growling turned into whispers, a cacophony of overlapping voices that filled the air, drowning out her thoughts. "No," she whispered, shaking her head. Ethan tugged at her, panic flooding his eyes. "Mom! We have to get out. Please." As if summoned, the lights flickered, casting jagged shadows across the walls. Jessica yanked the door again, desperate, but it wouldn't budge. Each pull made her feel smaller, trapped in a web of unseen terror. "Mia!" she screamed, voice cracking. And then, it happened. A sharp crack reverberated from above, and in an instant, the ceiling creaked as though it would collapse. Wooden beams splintered, echoing like thunder in the confined space. A shadow leapt from the darkness, a small shape plummeting to the floor with a thud. "Mommy!" Mia's voice pierced through the chaos, tinged with fear. Relief flooded Jessica's veins. She spun around, her instincts kicking in. There was her daughter, crouching near the bookshelf in a ball of dread. Mia's eyes were wide, filled with tears, and all she could do was point up, trembling. Something loomed above her. Jessica ran to her, swept her up into a grip of pure terror, and held her tightly. "I've got you. We'll get out of here." But as she turned back toward the door, the growling stopped, replaced by silence, a heavy stillness, pregnant with dread. The air shifted, the smell of rot filled her nostrils, and the shadows seemed to expand, swirling to form a figure that hovered in the doorway. It was a child, pale and emaciated, with wide, black eyes and a cherubic smile that twisted in a cruel mockery of innocence. "Stay with us, forever," it sang, voice sweet and sickening all at once, echoing through the hall. "Mia, don't look!" Jessica cried, squeezing her daughter against her chest, feeling her tiny heart race. The ghostly child stepped forward, the whispers growing louder, echoing the stranded souls begging for release. Jessica felt herself drawn to it, the pull tightening around her mind. It was seductive. The promise of escape from their worldly troubles, the feeling of safety. But she couldn't. With a burst of will she didn't know she had, Jessica surged forward, wrenching the door with all her strength. This time it gave way, flinging open with a crash that reverberated through the house. Outside stood a stark, moonlit yard, the night calm and deceptively serene. But a chill ran down her spine as she glanced back. The figure watched them, still grinning, those hollow black eyes burning into her soul. "Run!" she shouted, pushing Mia and Ethan into the night, her heart pounding with the primal instinct to survive. But as they bolted into the moonlight, she felt the shadows stretch behind them, grasping for the warmth they left behind. The whispers followed, a sinister song wailing through the night. Over the stone path, past the old oak tree, they ran. Yet somewhere, deep within the shadowy embrace of the house, the promise lingered, that sinister lullaby taunting in the distance. They made it to the street, breathless, heartbeats echoing against the stillness. But Jessica couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't over. There was something more to the darkness behind them, something watching, waiting. What was that? Ethan gasped, looking up at her. "I don't know," she whispered, her voice trembling. "But we have to keep moving before it finds us again." The night felt heavy, pressing in from every side. As they hurried deeper into the unknown, the shadows were not far behind, and she could almost feel their icy fingers brushing against her skin. Now, dread filled her as she wondered if they had truly escaped, or if it was only the beginning. As they sprinted away, Jessica's mind raced, a chaotic blur of questions and fears. Where were they going? Would Mia ever be safe? The road ahead seemed endless, cloaked in shadows that breathed ominous dread. Emon. Ethan pulled on her shirt, his small voice laced with panic. What if it follows us? What if it should? She hissed, urgency sharpening her tone. We need to keep moving. They dodged a tall, twisted tree that loomed at the edge of their yard, its branches clawing at the sky like skeletal fingers. The air was thick with the scent of damp earth and decay, leaving a bitter taste in her mouth. Behind them, the dark house loomed, a gaping maw filled with secrets, whispers of the lost urging them to return. Jessica glanced back, heart in her throat. The figure was gone, swallowed by the shadows. But she could still hear that sickly sweet voice echoing in her mind, "Stay with us." Forever. It felt as if it seeped into her skin, clawing at her sanity, begging her to turn around. "Mia," she said, forcing herself to focus. "Are you okay?" Her daughter giggled nervously, the sound brittle and frightened. "Mom, it hurt, the thing that fell. I thought it was gonna grab me." Jessica's heart sank. "We're okay now. We're away from it." But as they walked, the world around them felt charged, as if it held its breath, waiting for something to snap the tension in the air. It was unsettling, and every rustle in the bushes sent chills down her spine. At the end of the road, a light flickered from a house. Jessica squinted, hopeful at the sight of safety. Maybe someone could help, maybe they'd be able to explain everything that had happened. With Mia still tucked close against her chest, Jessica began to move faster. Then, a sound shattered the night, an anguished wail, echoing through the darkness behind them. Jessica froze, her breath caught in her throat. The wail became a shriek, a distortion of human anguish that twisted her insides. Ethan turned to her, his eyes wide with fear. "What is that?" he gasped. "I don't know." Her voice trembled, panic crawling up her spine. "We have to hurry." They ran again, sprinting for the light. The closer they got, the more they could see the house. It was a quaint little place, inviting and warm, yet the shadows seemed to dance around it, creating an unsettling contrast. As they reached the porch, Jessica knocked frantically on the door. "Please. Let us in. We need help." Moments felt like hours. Just as she was about to pound her fists against the wood, the door creaked open, revealing an older woman with sharp eyes and a knowing expression. "What are you doing out here?" she asked, her voice low and gravelly. "Please, Jessica began, but a bone-chilling shriek erupted from the shadows behind them, slicing through the air like a blade. The eerie sound froze Jessica's blood, and the woman's expression shifted to that of recognition, almost fear. "Get inside. Quickly." They stumbled in, the door slamming shut just as the darkness seemed to rush forward, pressed against the glass of the windows like desperate hands. "Is it safe?" Ethan's voice quivered as he peered through the cracks in the curtains. "For now," the woman said, her voice grave. "But it will come for you." "What do you mean?" Jessica demanded, dread knotting in her stomach. The woman's pale eyes held secrets, a storm of unease behind them. "That thing, it preys on fear. It feeds on your pain. You cannot let it in." Jessica's mind raced, echoes of the whispers creeping back. "But how do we stop it?" The old woman remained silent, the weight of dread pulsing in the air as she merely gestured toward a small table in the corner. There lay an array of items: broken toys, faded photographs, and a dusty mirror. "Those who are taken," she whispered, "they never leave the light." Jessica felt a chill, understanding too late what hung in the air. As the shrieks descended into whispers on the wind outside, she sensed a new presence. Something primal. Something relentless. "Prepare yourself," the woman warned, and Jessica's heart sank. What had they awakened? What horrors still waited? Outside the door? Jessica shuddered. It felt like just the beginning of a nightmare that refused to end. The room was thick with an oppressive silence, the kind that clings to the skin like cobwebs. Jessica's heart pounded, a frantic bass line to the nightmare unfolding around her. She clutched Mia tighter, the little girl's small body shaking in her grip. Ethan, too, was trembling, his eyes darting around, desperate for any sign of danger. "Why are we here?" Ethan finally whispered, his voice shaking. The old woman stepped closer, her presence looming yet strangely comforting in the dim light of the small room. "You need to understand first. It's not just a thing out there. It's a being. It knows fear. And it knows you." "What do you mean? How can it know us?" Jessica asked, bewilderment mingling with fear. "It's been watching. Waiting," she replied, her stare unfathomable. "Everything you fear, it feeds on that. Children's fears are the sweetest, the easiest to draw from." "No." Mia sobbed, gripping her mother tighter, "I don't want it. Please, Mommy, don't let it get me." Jessica could feel the weight of her daughter's dread chilling the air around them. The old woman's eyes softened momentarily but quickly hardened again. "We will need to guard the light," she said, motioning to the table behind her. "These objects are remnants of those who were lost, their pain trapped here. You must use them to fight back." Ethan stepped forward, his courage breaking through the fear for a brief moment. "What do we do?" "Listen to me closely," the woman said, urgency creeping into her voice. "We will create a barrier. The mirror reflects your fears, and it can trap the being if you face it." Jessica's breath quickened. "Face it? But how?" "By confronting what you're afraid of the most. Show it that you recognize it. Deny it your fear, and the power over you weakens. The mirror will reveal its true face." "What true face?" Ethan pressed, his young brows furrowing with confusion. The woman hesitated, her gaze flicking toward the window where shadows twisted and warped, as though alive. "The face of what you are most afraid of. It may not be what you think." A sudden crash reverberated through the house, causing Jessica to jump. The floorboards creaked beneath her like they were shifting, alive with something sinister. Panic clawed up her throat. "Stay close!" Jessica shouted, instinctively stepping between her children and the darkness lurking just beyond the light. The shrieks outside transformed into manic laughter, an eerie sound filled with malice and hunger. The shadows at the window twisted into shapes, fleeting glimpses of forgotten nightmares. It felt as if the darkness was reaching for them, slithering closer. "Now!" the woman urged, startling them into action. "Use the love you hold for each other. Focus on that." Jessica glanced at her kids, still trembling but holding each other's hands. With a deep breath, she intertwined her fingers with theirs, grounding them both in the warmth of her love. Mia looked up, confusion flickering in her big blue eyes. "What do we do, Mommy?" "Look in the mirror," Jessica instructed as she turned toward the dusty surface. Together. They stood before it, their reflections trembling in the dim light, flickering with the movement of shadows. The whispers murmured around them, dark promises and wrongful memories. Jessica steeled herself, afraid of what she might see. "On 3, she said, her voice steadying. 1, 2, 3. They leaned in together, bracing themselves for whatever manifested in the glass. As their eyes locked with the reflection, the air thickened, and a chilling presence enveloped them almost instantly. The mirror rippled, revealing not just their faces but a darker form surrounding them, coiling in the shadows. Jessica felt a pull, an icy grip on her heart, whispering her fears back to her. But behind the terror, she latched onto memories, to love, to hope desperately hanging by a thread. "Face it. We can do this!" Ethan shouted, his voice cutting through the encircling dread. Just then, the air shifted, the laughter outside crescendoed, and the fanged grin of the presence in the mirror began to materialize, its dark eyes locking onto theirs. Jessica's heart thudded painfully in her chest. What is going to happen? With all her strength, she squeezed her children's hands. The world became brighter and darker all at once. The shadows grew sharper, the whispers louder. And then, with a thunderous crash against the door, it was as if the darkness responded, a sound full of rage and desire. "Hold on!" the old woman shouted, her voice barely rising above the chaos. What happens next? The door groaned, splintering as something pounded against it from the other side, a malevolence longing to breach the barrier of their desperate sanctuary. Jessica's breath caught. What is it? The mirror flashed again, illuminating the dark figure lurking beyond, its twisted grin stretching impossibly wide, hungry and furious. Reality wavered, a bridge between their fear and the murky shadows pulling them forward. Depends on you facing it. The mirror shimmered ominously, and in the fragile moments before the world spiraled into chaos, Jessica realized they were standing on the brink of something terrifyingly profound. They had awakened it, but could they survive it? Their fates hung in the balance. Would they defeat the darkness? Or were they destined to be swallowed whole? The shadows thrummed with agitation, a rhythmic pulse that matched the frantic beating of Jessica's heart. Her grip tightened as nightmarish laughter echoed from beyond the crashing door, mingling with the dissonant howls of the wind outside. Anxiety knotted her gut, dread pooled in her throat. "Get ready!" the woman shouted as the door splintered again, wooden shards flying into the air. "We need to focus." With the air thick as fog, Jessica pulled her children closer, anchoring them against the unsettling chaos. The mirror flickered, reflecting not just their forms but the growing terror that sought to consume them. A hobbled figure wrapped in darkness loomed just beyond, eyes like coals, hungry and fierce, ready to devour what remained of their will. "What do we do?" Ethan's voice trembled like a leaf in a storm. "Repeat after me," the old woman commanded. "We are not afraid. We see you, and we will not let you have us." Jessica hardly believed that was true. The suffocating weight of fear clung to her, but she felt Ethan's brave grip and Mia's trusting gaze. With that flicker of courage kindling within, she shouted, "We are not afraid." The mirror pulsed, reflecting their defiance, a soft glow emanating from its glass surface. "We see you, and we will not let you have us." Ethan shouted, his voice breaking yet resolute. Mia, still trembling, joined in, her small voice steadying with each word. "We see you." The dark figure hesitated, a ripple of confusion passing through its twisted visage. It recoiled slightly, momentarily stunned by their unexpected unity. But then came a laugh twisted and mocking, filling the air with dread, a dreadful confirmation of the malignant presence before them. "Use the mirror's power," the woman urged, her eyes fierce. "Let it show you your truth." Jessica felt that icy grip of despair tighten around her heart, growing heavier as the figure rejoined the shadows, its grin widening. "Look into the mirror, and see it all clearly," the woman insisted. With clenched teeth, Jessica focused her gaze again at the mirror. The glass warped, revealing a storm of memories intertwined with shadows. She saw herself trapped, a young girl in a dark room, a fear manifesting into that very being, a representation of moments lost to her. There in the reflections, Ethan saw the night he felt helpless, the sight of a bully towering over him, and Mia, sweet Mia, was suddenly confronted with every night of restless sleep filled with thoughts of monsters lurking in her closet. The laughter outside throbbed like a heartbeat, creeping ever closer. Jessica's pulse raced. Could they confront the reality hidden in the darkness? "Look deeper," the old woman whispered urgently. "Identify what it is that truly binds you to fear." As if tied by invisible strings, Jessica felt the memories surge. She recalled instances where she felt entirely alone, times when she had failed to protect her children. Tears bloomed at the corners of her eyes. Fear had not come from monsters but from within, from the moments of vulnerability she had avoided confronting. No longer could she allow the darkness to weave its insidious influence over them. "It's just a trick," she breathed. It's not real. Focus on your love for each other. Push it back. The woman commanded. The three of them leaned into each other, exchanging strength and warmth, allowing their love to become their armor. They mirrored the incantation, voices overlapping, a soft hymn against the abyss. We love each other. Our love is stronger. The dark figure writhed, the mirror flickering with violent flashes. A shriek echoed from the door as if the shadows were being clawed back, retreating from a force they had never expected to confront. But just then, the ground shook. A tremor rippled through the building, splinters of wood breaking free, dust falling from the ceiling. It wants to break through. The old woman yelled. Fight it. Don't let it in. Jessica was struck by panic. What if it breaks through? Just as the thought formed, the presence aligned itself again, the figure blotting out their reflections. It rested before them, fury palpable, a dark storm ready to turn their sanctuary into a ruin. Fight! The woman screamed, echoing Jessica's own desperate thoughts. With every ounce of her being, Jessica shouted louder, her voice raw and wild. We are stronger together. We choose love over fear. But the laughter outside swelled, rising to an ear-piercing crescendo. Jessica felt her awareness narrow, the shadows clawing at the edges of her mind, calling her back to despair. As her will still fought valiantly against the darkness, a shudder shot through the mirror. The figure flashed its hungry grin anew, and as the door trembled against its malevolent strikes, Jessica feared that this fight was far from over. Would they stand united, or was the incoming darkness her worst nightmare come to life? The tremors surged again, every shake rattling Jessica's bones. It was as if the world itself was screaming. She tightened her grip on her children, feeling their small bodies tremble against her. Don't let go, she urged, her voice barely rising above the din of chaos. The dark figure, now more solid, advanced. Its shadowy tendrils reached for them, whispering cold promises of despair. Your love is worthless, it hissed, the words coiling around her like barbed wire. You are nothing but memories of pain. No. We're not. Jessica countered, her heart racing. She glanced at the mirror, hoping it might offer a glimpse of salvation. But now it reflected a twisted version of them. Laughter turned into cries, joy misplaced by dread. How could they fight this? How could love withstand such horror? Look within. Your love, feel it. The old woman urged, maintaining her fierce gaze on the creature. It's the only weapon you have. Jessica poured every ounce of strength into that thought. Love wasn't just a feeling, it was a weapon, a shield against this horror. Remember, she whispered to her children, the times we laughed, the moments we shared. Ethan's clear eyes met hers. When we built the fort in the living room? He asked, the memories mingling with fear. Yes. And when we watched the stars in the backyard? Mia's voice interrupted, buoyed by soft courage. This is what we stand for. Jessica cried, her voice rising, empowered by their shared experiences. It's love, it's us. But the shadow snarled, and the air thickened with its anger. The laughter came again, ringing shrill, echoing deep in Jessica's chest. Yet she felt something shift, that memory rendering even more strength, an echo of laughter, brighter than the dark that surrounded them. Let it in. The woman shouted, her words sharp as glass. Invite your memories to fight back. Let them fuel your power. With every recollection, every shared joy, Jessica felt the mirror flare alive. She gazed again, her own reflection now bold and defiant, Ethan and Mia glowing beside her. We are steadfast. We are family. They cried together, their voices meshing into a powerful melody, drowning out the sinister cacophony. The dark figure writhed, its form becoming unstable, the mocking grin faltering. You think you can win? It spat, the words hissing through clenched teeth. Gathering confidence, Jessica reached out as if to draw strength from the mirror. "We won't let you take us. We are stronger than you." A blinding light erupted from the mirror. It surged outward, illuminating the room, casting shadows away. The dark figure recoiled, and suddenly there were shouts of anguish. The walls shuddered, splintered, as the malevolent presence retreated. Yet what was happening? The light emitted warmth but also tremors, hints of something deeper lurking behind it. Jessica could feel the floor buckle beneath them, the old woman's form flickering, merging with the light. Something wasn't right. "What is going on?" Ethan cried, his voice tinged with fear. The old woman glanced back, aura glowing, fierce determination on her face. "You must keep fighting. The darkness is crafty." A crashing sound thundered through the space. The mirror glimmered, fractures appearing like spider veins across its surface. "Mom!" Mia's face turned pallid as she stumbled back, eyes wide with terror. "No!" Jessica screamed, but the old woman raised her hands, straining against the rush of shadows. "You can do this. You have the power," she shouted. But just as hope surged, darkness crept back in. The presence was unwilling to be defeated, its hunger deeper, more insatiable. It seemed to summon shadows from the very essence of their fears. Jessica felt a ripple of doubt as something unfamiliar wrapped around her mind, coaxing her to surrender. "Protect the children." She belted desperately, but the shadows whispered her name, weaving insidious thoughts that threatened to pull her under. Ethan's terrified eyes met hers one last time, the uncertainty veiling the innocent love she'd fought so hard to protect. "Mom, it's too strong." "No." But Jessica felt the veil of darkness beginning to smother, burdened by grim reality seeping in. Power surged in her voice again, but would it be enough? Would love be enough against an enemy that thrived off fear? And as the final shatter echoed through the house, the darkness recoiled, but an ominous silence followed what was waiting for them on the other side of this fractured threshold. The quiet that followed the shattering seemed eternal, stretching minutes into hours. Jessica clutched her children close, their breaths shallow against her side, the only sound in the echoing darkness. The shards of the mirror glimmered ominously, like daggers scattered on the floor. Then came a crackle, sharp and electric, pulsing like a heartbeat. The air thickened, swirling with 1,000 whispers, their words indistinct yet drenched in malice. It felt alive, crawling with unseen eyes, watching, waiting. "Mom? What is happening?" Mia's voice trembled, a thin thread of innocence barely holding against the weight of dread. Jessica forced herself to breathe, to stay calm. "I don't know, sweetheart," she replied, her throat dry. "But we need to stay strong. Remember what we fought for." But their little fortress of love seemed to falter under the incoming tide. Shadows wriggled across walls, twisting grotesquely, mimicking the darkest fears that lurked within her mind. The laughter returned, now mocking, taunting with every passing echo. It wasn't the happy sounds of her children anymore, it was a cacophony of derogation, dissecting their shared memories, morphing joy into a grisly parody. Just beyond the threshold where the mirror once stood, something stirred. Dark forms slinked forward, emerging from the fractures like vapor from a waking nightmare. They undulated and reshaped, losing definition and morphing continuously, like liquid darkness spilling into reality. "No! Stay back!" Jessica shouted, raising her arms instinctively to shield her children. The shadows hesitated, sizing them up. Ethan whimpered. "Mom! I want to go home. Home." The word hung in the air, diluting her with its sweetness, but how could they return? The home they knew was crumbling, eaten away by horror. "Jessica!" The old woman's voice rang out again, though it sounded distant, strained. "Remember the light. Focus on it." The shadows snapped in her direction, blood-soaked echoes filling the space. "The light?" Jessica echoed, incredulous. How could she summon it in the face of such overwhelming darkness? But as her mind raced, a memory surged within her, an afternoon spent in easy laughter, glimmers of sunlight filtering through branches in their backyard. The burning golden hue, warm and radiant, chased away the chill that crept into Jessica's bones. "Hold on!" she cried, embodying that warmth. Together. Amid the trembling shadows, she reached out to Ethan and Mia. Mirroring her resolve, she gathered them, pressing her hands tightly between them, encasing their small fingers. "We can do this. We can find the light," she urged, allowing her love to overflow stronger than all this fear. Taking a deep breath, she focused on the radiant glow of their happy moments. From the depths of the shadows, a shimmer fought back, flickering defiantly. It pulsated with hope intertwined with despair, but even in uncertainty, Jessica felt embers igniting within her. The oppressive darkness recoiled as if struck, shrieking a discordant wail that rattled her skull. "You can't defeat us!" It hissed through gnashing teeth, the forms swirling hungrily, searching for weakness, a crack, a fracture in her resolve. They advanced again, a collective charge of darkness, roaring like an angry tempest. But Jessica could see through the gloom now. There was a light pushing against the blackness, burning brighter with each breath she took, each syllable she spoke. "Focus, Mia. Ethan. Think of our favorite moments." For a heartbeat, her children faltered, electricity sparking in their hazel eyes. As they chanted their favorite memories, the shadows hesitated, and she felt something shift. But could they hold out long enough? Through the encroaching void, she sensed a chill enveloping them, a sinister end creeping like ivy reclaiming its space. In the distance, darkness roared in frustration, hungry and relentless. Desperation clawed at her throat. Just then, a silhouette loomed behind the veil of shadows, vaguely familiar. It whispered her name, its voice a cold echo of longing. Jessica panic-flooded. Her heart. Who was it? What had it come to take? Would it wrench her children from her grasp? Suddenly, the ground beneath them trembled again, deeper this time. And as the darkness howled, a piercing scream erupted, resonating through the air, sending fissures through the walls around them. What was about to emerge from the shadows? Would it be salvation or utter ruin? As the last tremors rumbled beneath their feet, Jessica gripped her children tighter, steeling herself against the relentless force of the shadows. The cold tendrils of darkness clamored at the edges of their sanctuary, suffocating in their unyielding hunger. Reality warped around them, every whisper a reminder of their worst fears. "We are not afraid," Jessica shouted, channeling everything she had into that simple declaration. In an instant, the air thickened, pulsing with energy. The words reverberated off the cracked walls, a lifeline tethering them to hope. The shadows hesitated, their form flickering uncertainly, as if wrestling with the very essence of what she had declared. "Stay with me. Together." She rallied, her voice fierce and unwavering. Mia and Ethan clutched her hands, drawing strength from the warmth of their bond. With every beat of her heart, Jessica willed the light to grow, caressing memories of love and laughter, weaving them into a shield against the encroaching fear. Images flooded her mind, their backyard barbecues, the way the sun streamed through the trees, the sound of their laughter echoing in the air. Each memory transformed into a glowing thread, weaving a tapestry of resilience around them. The dark figure writhed at the threshold, its twisted grin faltering against the warmth flooding the space. "You think your love can save you?" It spat, its voice a low, simmering growl, writhing like smoke across the room. "Yes, it can," Jessica shouted back, her voice holding firm. "This love is all we need." At that moment, the mirror began to pulsate, a shimmering surface reflecting their unity. A blinding light erupted, illuminating the corners of the room, pushing the shadows back with every heartbeat. The dark figure let out a furious howl, a tortured screech that echoed through the crumbling walls. Jessica watched as the shadows recoiled, warping and twisting, their solidity evaporating in the presence of light. "Hold on," the old woman urged from the edge of their sanctuary, her voice riding the crest of the light, resonating with strength. "You must face your fears fully. Own them." Jessica hesitated. What if this confrontation sealed their fate instead? Her heart raced, but she understood now the true nature of fear hid not in the monsters of the past, but in the vulnerability of her own heart. "Mia, Ethan," she said, her voice softened by fierce love, "think about what scares you most. We'll face it together." They exchanged frightened glances but nodded, drawing courage from one another. "Mia first," Jessica urged, looking into her daughter's wide, terrified eyes. "What are you afraid of?" "The dark and the shadows that come from it," Mia whimpered, tears glistening in her eyes. "Then let us shine a light on them," Jessica said, pushing away her own fears. "Picture it, and we'll push it back, together." With a deep breath, they all closed their eyes, visualizing the darkness that haunted them, turning it into a shape in their minds. It twisted and writhed, a manifestation of every shadowy fear they'd ever encountered. Together, they echoed, plunging forward into the visualized abyss, allowing love to counter every dark thought. "You do not scare us." The darkness buckled, shrieking as the light flared brighter, illuminating its grotesque form. Jessica pulled her children close, feeling their hearts beat in sync beneath her palm. "Ethan, your turn. What about you?" He took a shaky breath. "I'm scared of not being strong enough to protect you." "That fear is what makes you strong," Jessica replied, squeezing his hand reassuringly. "Remember how brave you've always been. You are more than enough." With unrelenting might, Ethan called into the darkness, repeating his mother's words, "I will protect my family. We are stronger together." A brilliant beam shot from the mirror, piercing directly into the dark figure. The malevolence screamed, its form splintering and fracturing under the intensity. It tried to claw its way back, but the shadows were weakening, becoming mere wispy remnants in the light. "Mommy, where's the old lady?" Mia squeaked, eyes darting nervously in search of their fierce ally. Jessica glanced, hoping to see the woman still guiding them. "We'll find her. But first, we need to finish this. Now." The old woman's voice rose, resonating in the air like a clarion call. "You must face it all. Use everything you have." But just then, the darkness twisted, refocusing its rage not on Jessica, but on the old woman, whose form shimmered faintly beside them. "No! You will not claim her!" Jessica roared, rallying her children as her determination set the air ablaze. Standing together, with hearts sown from love, they confronted the dark figure, eyes locked onto its wretched face, forcing it to reveal itself fully in the light. "There is no fear you can hold that we cannot conquer," Jessica shouted, her voice echoing with strength beneath the resolution of pure love. Everything that terrified them had no real power against their bond, not now, not ever. As the dark figure writhed in agony, they hurled all their love and light against it, a whirlwind of hope and unity that clashed fiercely against the shadows. Glistening rays spiraled forth, dazzling the room until the darkness erupted and exploded, scattering into 1,000 fragments like brittle glass. The air trembled, shaking as the dark figure screamed, vanishing into an echoing silence. The moment hung in the air, a fragile breath caught between victory and uncertainty. Jessica's heart pounded as she gained her footing, cradling Mia and Ethan. "We did it," she whispered. All at once, warmth bloomed around them, the darkness lifting as soft light enveloped their family. Jessica turned, expecting to find the old woman smiling by their side, but she was gone, her presence leaving only the afterglow of strength. "Emom!" Ethan exclaimed, gazing wide-eyed at their surroundings. The house was quiet, the terrifying force now something of the past. The shadows lingered but were no more than thin traces, remnants of fear stripped of their power. "We're safe," Mia whispered, looking up at Jessica, relief flooding her small face. "It's over." But Jessica knew better. This confrontation marked a change, a breath of new beginnings. "Let us go home," she said gently, leading her children toward the door. Past the threshold, dawn was breaking, golden rays spilling through the trees, washing the house in vibrancy. Every step sent tremors of old fear into the ether, scattering them like leaves in the wind. As they stepped onto the path, casting one last glance at the house now dappled in soft light, Jessica understood that there would be battles to face and shadows to push back, but love would always be their greatest weapon. This was not an ending, but a new chapter, one they would face together, heart to heart, hand in hand. Love wouldn't just bring light, it would illuminate the shadows lurking in life long after. As they walked away, laughter began to spill from behind them, a gentle balm against the chilling memories that had once filled their days. "Mom, remember when we were so scared?" Ethan asked, a spark of laughter in his eyes. The crisp dawn brightened the world, and Jessica smiled fiercely. "Yes, but look at us now." They were alive, they were together, and they emerged not just as survivors, but as a family imbued with strength and love. Jessica's heart soared as they left the darkness behind, ready to face whatever came next, because now, they knew just how to fight. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash the like button now to feed the algorithm. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this ending. Instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. You need to support the channel to keep these heart-pounding tales alive. Let's go.